Why you shouldn't use ROAS. Morning. I don't use ROAS, and I don't think you should use ROAS unless you got some fancy new tool that works better than the ones that were around for the last few years. I heard a lot of good things about Northbeam. I've used some of the other attribution tools and I'm not pleased with them. I don't rely upon them. I don't think you need them to grow. I think you could use MER and you'll live. MER is a pretty simple calculation. You take your gross revenues and you'll divide that by your ad spend. So if you spend 100 grand and you're bringing in $1 million worth of revenues, your MER is 10. If you have that same revenues, which is $1 million, and you had to spend $200,000 to get it, your MER is 5. All right? I think so. Anyway, so moving along from that, attribution. Now, we'll talk about ROAS a little bit. If you were using attribution and your attribution was perfect, you could go in platform for Facebook and look at your sales and say, how much money did I bring this month in Facebook? And you would see a number there. The problem is that number is imperfect. And in some cases, it's probably 35 or 40% lower than the real number would be, in my experience. Like for instance, right now, I'm spending $300,000 a month on Facebook. Now, I know my MER is 2.0, and that's good for me. We can survive like that. We can profit. We do well with that number. If I go in platform and I look at ROAS on that number, and that's my MER. That's NC. It's basically NC ROAS, but out of platform. So it's new customer revenues. I don't really count a lot of the other revenue in the account. I only count new customer revenues. Might be tricky for some of you if you're not on Shopify Plus, but what I would look at is then I would look at NCCPA. And the way you get NCCPA is you take all of your new customers and you take your ad spend. So you take ad spend and you divide it by new customers, and that's going to give you a number. That's your NCCPA. So if you look back for 3 or 4 years and you're looking at your account and you figure out the NCCPA for every month, then when you look at this month, you could say, I'm going to keep an eye on that NCCPA. I'm going to make sure it doesn't go over this number. That's a really good way to do it too. I used that for a couple of years until I was on Shopify Plus. Now I like to use MER because it's a little simpler. Let's talk about ROAS. Why shouldn't you use ROAS? Well, in platform for Facebook, like I mentioned, they're missing 35 to 40% of the conversions. So if you open up your ads manager, you're gonna look at it and you go, wow, this ad's no good, let me shut it off. Meanwhile, that could be the ad that's doing really well. So if you're outside of your ad account and you're looking at MER and you're seeing it's like me for 2.0, I go into my ad account and I say, things are good. I'm not shutting off any ads. So then the next question is, how would you determine which ads to shut off and which ads to turn on? You know, I don't really like to turn the ads off if the account's doing well. So when the account's doing well, I'm not going in there shutting all kinds of ads off and say, let me see how I can make things worse. People will say, well, that ad's not spending. Why would you keep it on? It's in the ad account. It's part of the funnel and it's not spending much money. So I'll just leave it in there. If it starts to drop down and spend, then I know that it's not working very well. That's how I determine it. If my business is doing well and that ad is not spending, it's not affecting me that much and I'm gonna leave it alone. Sometimes a few of these ads that are not spending very much are what's called top of the funnel ads, and they're not attributing because of you're using a 7-day click. And because of that because the sale would happen outside that 7-day click, it's not getting attributed. But that doesn't mean you should shut it off. And I know a lot of people, small accounts, have trouble because they'll look at their in-platform metrics and they'll start tinkering. So they'll go in there, they'll be like, wow, this ad's not doing well, this one's doing great. So they shut off the ad that they perceive to be the bad ad. A couple of days later or a week later, all of a sudden their account's not working so well. They're like, oh, what happened? They'll look at more in-platform attributions. They'll start shutting off more ads. That's not the way to do it, folks. That's not the way to do it.